How's it going, internets? I hope you're having a wonderful day. It's time to get creative again, time to get animating, time to get imaginative, and it's time to get inspired. And today's inspiration comes from the amazing king of all lines, Al Hirschfeld. And if you're not familiar with his work, you've probably seen it. He's done some amazing caricatures. I grabbed a little clip of him drawing, which I'd never seen before, so maybe you guys haven't seen it before either, but it's a great example of his line work, and he does a great job of capturing the essence of caricature, really. Excuse me. He just can see someone and pick out those unique things that you want to exaggerate about them, and really encapsulates their personality and their caricature and just their uniqueness, and he does it in such an amazing way. So I'll have that played over here, and I do have a couple of quotes from him because obviously I'm not as eloquent as I should be today, so let's look at someone else's words. Work to me is something you don't want to do, but you have to do it to live. But what I do, I would do whether anybody wanted it or didn't want it. I think that's a great mentality to have, to view those things that you're passionate about not as work, but as just motivating and inspired and wanting to do it no matter if anyone sees it, if you get paid, if you don't, those real passion projects. And that's really where I feel like you should spend your time doing that kind of stuff. I know for myself, I love sharing this stuff with you. I love animating. I really love drawing. I should really do more videos on drawing and everything too, but I think there's a lot of people already doing that on YouTube. Not as many people doing it down here with animation, but I know as soon as I'm done with these videos, then I have to go through and I have to upload them and do descriptions and do all that stuff where it's really typing and all that kind of stuff. I know I lose a bunch of my passion there, but when I'm sharing it with you and I'm doing the craft and doing the part that I love about this, I know the time flies. I can do it for hours and hours, studying these people, finding these inspirations to share with you. I know it's just something that I'm really passionate about. Oh, visit from the little adopted kitty that we got. Beep, beep. Okay. And let's get into his other quote here. Try to distill the character of your subject. Understand how he moves, thinks, acts. It's difficult to put into words. Consider each drawing as a problem that did not exist before, and then try to solve that problem to the best of your ability. That is what caricature is all about. And I think that's a great way to look at any sort of creative medium. I know for myself, I kind of really liked the way that he put it, and it kind of resonated with me, and I've been thinking about it for a little while now. But I kind of have a little bit of a mathematical brain sometimes, whatever. But I know I really enjoyed math in school. I really did. I haven't done it for a while, but I like that where I'm given a problem or I'm given a situation and I have to solve it and I have to figure it out. And to think of art that way is something that I really haven't done too much, but I like that. I like that feeling of, this is what I want to do, and now break it down into each of its little steps into how to solve it and approach that problem and get the best solution you can, and a creative solution sometimes too. So that being said, definitely check out Al Hirschfeld if you haven't done that before. His line work and his drawings are just amazing. I'm just getting fascinated watching him draw as it is right now, just the way that he curves his lines, and he can do these lines that seem to go on forever but really can just capture so much. He can do like a whole hand with one single line stroke, and it's just amazing. All right, that being said, let's get into today's work. We are using the Sci-Fi female robot. It's a free rig that you can grab over at Creative Crash. Let me make sure I pause that so that the audio is not going to be playing in the background. Okay, good. Like I said, it's a free rig you can grab over at Creative Crash. I will link it in the information below. And if you're not familiar with what we're going to be doing for the rest of this video, give ourselves 48 frames, grab a rig that I've never used before that I can share with you. It's a free rig that you guys can try out, and give ourselves about an hour, sometimes a little less, sometimes a little more, and see what kind of creative stuff we can come up with. So for today, we'll be using Maya 2014. I believe 2016 just got released a little bit ago. So definitely check that out as well. And so for this one, I was thinking, what does everybody like with a female robot? Let's close that out. A sexy female robot. So let's try and see if we can add a little bit of sultriness to this walk with this character. So the first thing I like to do is create a polygon primitives cube, just so I've got a base and kind of gives me a sense that, you know, standing on something. And then let's go ahead and turn everything off except for our NURB curves, NURB surfaces, and our polygons. And let's go ahead and save our file, save scene as, and wait for it to load. Again, thanks everyone for all the likes and subscribes and all the comments lately. You guys are amazing. I hope you're enjoying these series and accompanying me as on my journey as I animate, and hopefully you're learning stuff or at least getting inspired to go create your own things or maybe try out a different idea. Push yourselves as well. We'll just call this Sci-Fi Bot Walk and save that. Continue, wait for it to go through and cycle, and let's get into our first initial pose here, and we're going to want to do something sultry, so let's get in here. Now, do we have a chest? That's the neck, so I think this might be our only chest controller. That's okay though. Let's go ahead and pull the feet in. And we need to tip those hips back a little bit. Keep the weight where it is. Well, let's rotate that forward and that back so we can puff out that the booty there. What should we do with the hands? I was thinking we could rest them on the hips. For some reason I'm not feeling that right now. So what could we do? Well, let's do something with the head here. I usually like to lean the head forward, but since I want this to be more of a sultry walk, I don't want to do a whole lot of that, but a little bit might feel good. That's too far up, so let's lean it forward a little bit, just give a little crick to that neck here, and I think we could pull that back a little bit more. Undo that. Where do we got the arm? Is this the arm here? Okay. Somebody's outside. Hold on one sec. I'm just going to check and see if that's company. Okay, sorry about that. It was company, but not for me. It's from anywhere. And you just don't want to be rude. Gotta check and see if that's company. So let's see what it'll be. Be something good to do with the arms. So you could just do something like that, but I feel like I've done that before. Let's just leave it that way for now. Funky, kind of funky hand controller, but that's okay. Looks like they have an upper and a mid, but do they have a tip for this? controller's hidden there. If we twist it too far that way, we hide the controller. So let's see if we can't find something in between here. Oh, that's good enough. Just want to try to find an interesting, good storytelling pose to start off with. Drag it down a little bit. Make sure we're doing the roll here. Get a better angle. Let's do a little more on this one. Not more on, more on. I feel like I made that more confusing by specifying. Dumb joke, dad joke. I don't know. There's a great subreddit for dad jokes. You guys should check it out. Oh. Go back. Okay. 1 second here. Just seeing if I could get find some good reference for that. So maybe just hang my arms down. Then we gotta pull them in a little bit more. Maybe a little tilt on the neck here. A little tilt to the head. A little more tilt on the neck. And let's get a better pose on that hand. Next up, be aware we're gonna get those controllers out though. And then go and pull that back. Push those hips forward a little bit more. Okay, I think that's an okay pose to start with. So let's go ahead and save our file. Again, continue. Make sure I'm still recording here. There we go. And let's go ahead and grab everything, go to frame 0, and we'll set a key there. And let's start laying down the foundation for this walk. Okay. Let's push that foot forward there. These are going to be small steps for this one. And push those hips forward. Set that. And again, this is just the foundational stuff, so this is just going to be basically the feet and the hips. And set that. Let's go push that foot forward. Bring the hips forward again. Ooh, we're going to have those knee controllers, I'm sure. Okay. That's okay. Just go pull those forward. Pull that forward a little more. So it is there. And push that foot forward and bring those hips forward. Okay, let's go ahead and check that. Okay, let's go ahead and clean all that stuff up. So first thing we want to do, I know there's definitely some hitches in our translate Z. Felt like it definitely died off there. And this is going to be the left to right movement on the hips, and I want that to be consistent so it doesn't feel like it's pausing anywhere. So let's see here. Okay. And then let's go ahead and get these steps so we get that nice passing position that we need. I'll rotate that foot down. Let's see. Set that. Set that. Lift it up here. Rotate it back there. Let's see. Okay, let's get into the other foot. And we're definitely going to have to do some more with the hips, especially since we started out more posed with those hips to start off like they're looking a little funky in the meantime, but that's okay. We just want to nail down that we have all those keys nailed down. We'll rotate that back, plant that down, lift it up, rotate it back, we'll plant that down. Okay. Now let's go ahead and go here. Let's rotate those hips the other way, and the other way, and the other way, and back again. And then let's go in here. I want to rotate that to offset it. To offset it. And we got to clean this up a little bit more too. So let's look at our rotate Z's and try and balance those out a little more. I knew we were too heavy on the other side. And then we gotta get in on the chest. Try to find a good place to balance that out. Okay, so let's go ahead and see that now. Okay, let's get some up and down on these hips. Hips up. Actually, let's dip down on the passing position. And then back up. And then down. And back up. And then down. And this is the opposite of what a normal walk would be, where you would have your passing position would be your upward position. But I think this, if we can get that working right, I think this feel will work better for this more sultry kind of a walk. If we can nail it down as we get there. And it's okay to be a little playful, try different things, push your ideas a little more. Okay, then we want to go here and we want to push the hips over to favor the planted foot. And vice versa. And you'll notice normally we do it where we have the rotation favoring the planted foot as well, but I think by delaying it a few frames that'll add a different feel. So hopefully that'll work. So let's see. Where the butt swings after. I think that's more what we were looking for. Still don't like what those arms are doing. I was thinking we could do the typical like one arm resting on the hip and the other one swinging. It's kind of like a lot of model walks or that, but if we can get those arms working, a nice little swing to them, that might feel good. Okay, now let's go ahead and rotate to favor the forward planted step. So it's going to be rotate Y there, rotate Y there, rotate Y there, rotate Y there, and rotate Y there. Okay, we're just favoring whatever foot is planted in front so that the hips favor that. They lean into that forward planted foot. And then we're going to need to offset that in the chest as well. So that means if the hips are leaning to favor that arm, the chest should be leaning to favor that one. So we're going to do a little bit of that. And that. And that. That. Let's see. It's kind of funny that there's no upper chest controller. I figured there would be. It doesn't seem like there are. I guess there's these shoulders that we could use to help accentuate stuff. So that would be rotated down there, and up there, and down there, and up there, and back to 0. And same thing here. So it would be up here and down there. Might be a little too over the top with that. I feel almost like she has some shoulder pads, so maybe we'll get rid of that. Just see if that feels good here. Yeah, I think what I want to do actually is push it so that it's a little bit earlier. And the other way around. Let's see if that works. Okay, I think it's a little too over the top, so let's go in and scale it back. But I think it's finally getting to where we want. We're on the road to getting that to work. Let's go ahead and watch it now. I think we just need to scale back the rotate Y. There, that might help us a little bit more. I feel like it's working against us. There. So let's scale that back. Gotta rotate Z's back in check here. Let's see here. Feels a little better. Still wish there was an upper chest controller. Okay, now let's go ahead and do a little bit more swing on these hips. We'll have them be delayed a little bit, so they'll swing out even further. And let's go ahead and pull the translate Y's down a little bit more. Because if you see, we're getting a little overextension on those feet. Let's see. let's give her pseudo heels. So that would be, heel lift? No. Toe? No. Sweep back? No. Toe pivot? We don't have a... Darn. Okay. Let's make sure we go back and zero all those guys out. Let's try a little bit of rotate, straighten, and pull back, straighten, and pull back, straighten, and pull back, straighten, and pull back. See if we can get a little bit of straightening out in that posture so it's not always favoring the butt. And we'll have to offset it by doing the stuff on the chest here too. Or at least the stomach area for the controller we do have here. So that means we're going to want to straighten it up and then pull it back. Straighten it up and pull it back. Straighten it up and pull it back. Straighten it up and pull it back. So let's see here. It feels a little better. And now let's clean that up as well. Because I don't feel like it's as clean as we could get that movement. There's still some grit in there. A little bit of grit's okay. So we keep that kind of straight posture. Let's see here. Those steps might be a little too high. If you see, like right here, we got some weird deformation going here. Let's see if we can't maybe lower those steps just a little bit, at least on that one leg. Even them out a little bit more here too. Let's do a little bit of swing on those arms then. Let's see here. Let's pull that arm back, drag it back, swing it forward, drag it back, swing it forward, and drag it back. So let's see here. Okay, obviously we're favoring that back position way too much, so let's get some swing out in front. And let's check that curve. Yeah. Let's go and watch that now. something here. Yeah, let's go ahead and delete that. For some reason we keyed the geometry there. No. Hand playing. What about this? Okay. There we go. For some reason we had the actual wrist geometry. It should be hidden in the geometry. That's why we do the turn off our everything except for our NURB curves and surfaces, but for some reason that polygon keyed. That's okay. We're able to find it. Let's go ahead and save our file or edit. And do a little bit of pull in on that wrist as well. And a little bit. Then we want to drag it back and swing it forward. And drag it back and swing it forward and pull it back. So let's see. Okay, I feel like we're doing not enough. Rotate back for some reason. So let's pull that arm back a little bit more. And maybe squash down the forward a little bit more. I think I'm going to tone down how much the butt's moving. It just feels like it's a little too over the top. So let's just tone it all down here. I feel like the feeling's okay, but it's a little too jerky, which means that we might be just overextending what we need to get that same idea. I think the rotate X is okay. It's more the rotate Y and Z. Let's see here. And feels a little more balanced or better there. What if I switch my rotate Y's around? So rotate Y would be like this. And rotate Y would be like that. Let's see here. It feels a little better. Switch the rotate Y and Z. So they weren't hitting at the same frame. So I'm going to zero out the rotate Y there. We're going to zero out the rotate Y there. So let's see. Feels a little better. I feel like we might need to up the rotate Z on the chest area a little bit more. So we get some of that swing on there. That feels better now. And then let's go ahead and do a little rotate Y here. And some here. There. just so that the root and the hips aren't hitting at the same time. Okay, let's go and watch that now. Trying to make that a little more smooth if we can. Let's do a little bit of rotate X here. Down, up, and down. Up, just to overemphasize the bounce there. Let's see here. Okay. Now maybe I'll drag it about 2 frames delayed from what that is. And maybe we'll minimize it a little bit more. But just so that that root and the hips aren't hitting at the same time. Okay. Let's go ahead and watch that now. I think I'm going to rotate the feet inward just a little bit. Little tiny bit of pigeon-toedness. Okay, come on. Why is this foot? Oh, let me do it in here. Here we go. I think that might be a little too much. Okay, let's go ahead and save our file, and let's get into doing some swing on the other arm here. I'll rotate it back, rotate it forward, rotate it back, and forward. And then let's get into elbow, a little more up, a little drag back, a little more up, little drag back, and a little more up. Let's see here. I feel like we need to do a little more movement on the arm and a little less on the forearm. Okay, let's go and watch that now. Okay, I think we need to straighten it out a little bit more here. And then sometimes it feels like it's too much, sometimes it feels like it's not enough. Make sure I'm grabbing the right one here. I think we want to keep the arms more straighter. More straighter, more straight. And we have. And now let's get back in here. A little less bend and a little more straight. Which means we're going to need to overshoot that position a little more. Let's go and watch that now. lost a little bit of that bent in, so I'll build that back a little more. And we'll favor the forward swings a little more, and less on the back. Now we need to, let's go ahead and save it, and then we need to get into a little bit of wrist movement as well here. So let's see here. We have, by switching the way the wrists are placed, it adds a little variation between the hands as well. Where one's almost perpendicular to the camera, and the other one's a little more parallel to the camera. So it adds a little bit of variation there. One thing we need to be aware of, or try to be aware of, is that we don't clip the geometry like we're doing there. So we might need to angle it a little bit more. Just a little bit. Sway there. So let's see here. The way that we can approach that is by giving us a little more of that, and then a little bit of that. Let's see here. Definitely tone down that forearm, especially compared to the other one. It feels like the other one's a lot stiffer. And let's go ahead and save our file. Let's amp up the screen left hand here. So we'll do a little bit more rotate. Maybe we'll do a little bit of that rotate X as well, so we get a little bit of that circular motion like we have in the other one. So that would mean rotate X has a little bit of a cupping to it, and a little bit of straightening out, a little bit of cupping, and a little bit of straightening out. Let's go ahead and tone down these arms a little bit more. Just feels like they're a little too swingy. Just a little bit. Okay, let's go and watch that now. Okay, let's go ahead and save our file, and let's do a little bit of stuff on the fingers here too. Okay. And that would be swing back. Actually, let's do a little bit of spread on both of them. We'll delay it a couple of frames and mix it up a little bit there too. So let's see here. Let's grab all of these guys here. kind of a more funky way to lay out a hand. We'll delay that as a frame. Then I'll take the pinky and we'll delay that a frame. And the index, and we'll push that forward a frame. Let's go ahead and watch that now. I'm going to amp up the swing on that pinky a little more so that it's not just sitting there. Okay, and again, you want to put life into everything. Even if at this particular camera angle you're at, it might not show off. You'll feel it. You can feel dead spots in animation if they're not there. So you want to make sure that you're breathing a little bit of life into all parts. You got to get into the head and everything too. That might be a little too much. Let's scale everything back a little bit. And then let's just grab the middle spreads. And let's delay that a frame. And let's grab the front finger. And we'll push those forward a frame. And the back. And we'll drag those back a frame. So there's a variation there. Okay, we'll go ahead and save what we have. And let's do a little bit on that thumb as well. Excuse me, one sec. Excuse me. Man, I gotta get a sneeze button. Nobody wants to hear me sneeze. Comment down below if you love hearing me sneeze. If you do, that's kind of weird. But that's okay. I still love you anyways. Even if you like hearing me sneeze. Alright, let's take that one and delay it a frame. Okay. Yeah, I could probably exaggerate that, but it's alright for right now. Stretch it out a little bit. I just don't really like the thumbs on this rig that much. They feel a little funky, so I'm not gonna have them be a main focus of attention, but we still want to give them a little bit of life. They're okay. It's just artistically, they work with this rig, they do, but having a thumb that's on the thing, it's a bit more robotic than natural, which, I mean, it's a robot rig, so it's understandable, but it just seems a little bit funky to me, so I'm not going to play those up as much. And then let's go ahead and do a little bit of movement on the head. That way, that way. And this is a lot, I know, but we'll scale it back. Let's go ahead and get a little bit, excuse me, 1 second. Sorry about that, just didn't want to keep sneezing and sniffling on air. Where are we? Want to do a little bit of tilt to the head there. There. That might be a little too much, so we might scale it back. Let's see. Okay. Works alright. Let's just scale it back just a little bit. Just a little bit. Just a little bit. Just a little bit. And just for good measure, let's do some expression on the face here. Let's see. Go to frame 1. Be sure we're still recording here. Yep, we're still good. Okay. so there's a little some more expression out of that face. Maybe a slight eyebrow variation as well. Kind of wish there was maybe some controllers for the side things here. Play with the ears a little bit. Be kind of cool. And again, I just wish there was one more controller up here for the top, so we could get some better angles out of there. But I think that works still pretty well with this. Overall, I like this rig a lot. It's got a lot of character to it, and I think we were able to add a lot to it as well. I feel like we might have a little too much movement on the neck. So let's go ahead and tweak that a little bit more. From the front it looked okay, but from the back it feels like it might be a little too much. Okay, now let's go ahead and save our file, and I wanted to do a little bit of heel on the foot as well. So heel lift, and give me 2 frames and we'll put it down. Lift. So let's see. Get those straight legs built into there. One thing I might do is I might push the translation a little bit more forward there. Let's see. Maybe just a tear back. Tear, titch, touch. Let's see. Yeah, it feels alright. Let's do a little bit of that heel on this one here, so we can get that nice straight if we can here. Something's funky with this leg too. Okay, maybe we can't. For some reason it's not letting us get into that foot. If you notice this foot controller, hey, weird go. Leg 1. There we go. Okay, maybe we were just grabbing it wrong there. Let's do some heel lift. Right down. And heel lift there. Okay, let's go ahead and see that now. Let's compare, make sure that we don't have too much heel lift from one side versus the other. We'll balance that out a little bit. And we'll do a little bit of, yeah. I thought one side felt heavier than the other, so let's try to find a good medium in between the two. Okay. And then let's go ahead and do a little bit of toe here. So I'll drag the toe back in that position. I'll give a little bit of toe up there. Right down there. So again, drag the toe back there, lift it up here, and flatten it out so that way the heel can hit and then the toe can hit as well. And let's go ahead and clean that up too, because I don't want it locking off like that. And we don't need a lot of toe, just a little bit, just to add some variation. And let's go ahead and do the other side here. So we're going to drag the toe back and lift it up here. And when the heel hits, the toe will hit a frame after. And we don't really have to wait the last one too much, we'll do a little bit. again, this will just add a little bit of texture to that foot plant. Alright, I think that works pretty well. Maybe we can give a little bit of an angle there to it. Just something like that. Kind of like just doing it from behind though. Don't take that out of context. Alright, so let's use that camera angle, and let's take a look back at where we started. Actually, before we go too far, let's go ahead and turn our nerd curves off, and we'll go ahead and loop that while we have that on in the background. And we started off looking at some Al Hirschfeld stuff, and let's read those quotes again. Work to me is something you don't want to do, but you have to do it to live. But what I do, I would do whether anybody wanted it or didn't want it. I think that's a great mentality to have. I hope you guys adapt that and make that something that you recognize in yourself, that you're hopefully getting at least some portion of time during the day that you're setting aside to do that thing that, no matter if someone's paying you, no matter if they're not, that is just a passion project that you find that you want to do. And then the next one was try to distill the character of your subject. Understand how he moves, thinks, acts. It's difficult to put into words. Consider each drawing as a problem that did not exist before, and then try to solve that problem to the best of your ability. That is what caricature is all about. And I think that's a great approach to have to any sort of creative medium, is to think of it as like a problem. Like, you can come up with this idea, but it's a problem, and you wanna solve it. So maybe, you know, today you can't approach the whole thing, but you can approach a little bit of it and solve that, and then the next day you can solve a little bit of it. Or maybe you make a great problem that you won't be able to solve for a couple of years, but every day you're working on it. Like, I know that I'm working on a couple of books and they're not going to be done for a little while. So each day that I'm doing another page of that, it's like solving a little more of the equation and trying to break it down that way, so that it helps keep you motivated, because you know you're working towards understanding something or solving something or getting better at it. So I challenge you guys to do that stuff today, and check out Al Hirschfeld. He's a great illustrator, great caricature artist, and yeah, thanks again for watching. You guys are amazing. I always appreciate it. And don't forget to share back if you guys create some amazing work using any of these rigs, or using any ideas that we talked about, or any sort of stuff like that. I can't wait to see the amazing stuff you guys come up with. That being said, I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Thanks again for watching. And if I can find the power button here. Alright, we will see you guys for some more animation tomorrow.